What is going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast, coming in live. Another awesome, amazing Saturday. Shout out to chat. Shout out to everybody watching live. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the support. Once again, the retweet the link. Everything's up on Twitter, man. I love you guys. We always here hanging out. You guys showing up, showing out. We got another awesome first time guest. You know, we trying to bring new content, new people on the show, man. New gamers as well. So I hope you guys appreciate what we're doing here. But let's go ahead and get to our guests before we get fully started here. And it is Mr. Silent Cypher. Shout out to XBI, Crazy Louie. Shout out to everybody over there at XBI. But Cypher, let everybody know where they can find you and how you been this week, brother.
Hey, yeah, thank you guys so much for having me today. So you guys can find me kind of all over the place. You find me in YouTube chats all over the place, but XBI podcast on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern is mainly where you'll find me. Just kind of hanging out, talking with those guys. We got Crazy Louie, we got Sour Blow, and awesome community. It looks like some of those guys are here in the chat today. Yeah. So hello, chat. But yeah, no, I'm stoked to be here with you guys. I'm glad that the timing worked out, and yeah, let's get it.
Let's get it, man. We got a lot to talk about.
Wait. Why did he leave out his ASMR channel? Why did
my goodness. We're not plugging the OnlyFans, are we?
No. I leave that off of my Twitter for reasons.
Okay. Right. Hit him up in the DMs, folks, if you want that.
Exactly, man.
Slide into those DMs.
Shout out to you, man. Appreciate it. Once again, shout out to XBI, Louie, Sour Blow Gaming, everybody over there at XBI, man. Appreciate you guys in chat as well. Shout out to Blue, Mr. Joanna Dark, Shown 2 Mod of the Year. Thank you guys for always hanging out, man. Retweet that link, hit the like button. If you're new here, subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. We do this every Saturday, so come hang out with us every Saturday. Because this is what we do. So let's go ahead and get to my compadres here. Mr. Pong Soul, Pong Harvey. How you doing this week, man? It's been a quiet week. Nothing's really going on.
Are you joking? Is this a joke right now?
Yeah, it's nothing,
look,
nothing.
I've been talking more this week than I have in a long time. Let me tell you something. But this is why we do what we do. Look, I was in mourning on Thursday. It was an awful day. I had to rethink life as a whole and what the meaning behind it was.
I knew it would take this hard.
Yeah, no, it was bad. You can go check out the beginning of PM and the PM if you need to, because I did a whole session of mourning to start the show. I was crying on camera, and it was bad. It was really bad. So, no, it has not been a pleasant week. But as I stated in many of my shows, the sun does come up the next day and life does go on. I got outside today, did some lawn work, touched grass, as they say.
Literally touched grass.
Yes. Regrounded myself over the past couple of days. And look, got to talk about it. It's a big deal, obviously. Starfield and Redfall both out of 2022. But at the end of the day, we've got a lot to look forward to. And it actually, it makes the showcase a whole lot more interesting. Even if it might not feel the same, it might have a little dullness to it this time around, but it does make it more interesting because there's a lot of questions to be answered there. Otherwise, gaming wise, man, look, Trek to Yomi, let's see, NBA 2K22, as always, of course, played some, Ayuden Chronicle, which dropped onto Game Pass this week. Fantastic old school JRPG feels. Loving it. And then, of course, jump back into Division 2 for Season 9. I just did that last night, re-downloaded it. God dang it. I love the Division 2. I know you, I know you and Fuzzy. We've rolled through together, a couple of times on Division 2, so I know you guys enjoy it as well. But man, just jumping back into it, and then I checked my hours on Division 2. I knew, and again, this is me, this is Mr. Grazer here. So when you get hours up there, for me, it's like, okay, it's got to be something good. But I knew I'd played a lot, but I checked my hours. I'm over 600 hours now.
Wow.
So yeah.
I'm probably somewhere in that range as well.
Yeah. So I'm not fuzzy level here. Okay. By any stretch of the imagination, that's like one lifetime of fuzzy. Fuzzy's got like 3 lifetimes in division right now, but I got, that's a lot for me. So no, it's been great. It really has, PTK. All jokes aside, this week's been great. Really busy. Obviously, again, news is news, good or bad. It's fun to talk about it. And this was a big one. So let's get down to business. And awesome to have Silent Cypher here, Brian. It's great, man. Again, you guys over at XBI are amazing. And obviously love all of your takes over there, including Crazy Louie, who thinks I have the best voice in the business for some reason. I have no idea. I think that was meant for you, sir. But anyways, it turned around and all of a sudden it's Pong Soul. So you know what? Thanks, Crazy Louie. Appreciate you. But everybody over there, awesome job over there, guys. Keep doing what you're doing, but especially you, sir. Love having you here. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Awesome, man. Once again, shout out to Chat Mav. I see you in here, Fifth Horseman, Blue, everybody. Zinc, you stop by, so you might get what you want here.
Oh,
you might
Zinc.
close the rink with a good
what kind of hot take we got tonight?
Zinc, we've been waiting on you, Zinc.
Saturday. Let's go.
This is becoming a weekly thing. So Zinc, you got to make sure you show up, bro. But shout out to everybody in chat, man. They always showing love. Once again, we are going to continue to take questions at the end of the show. Don't forget to make sure you drop those questions in chat so we can get to them. Once again, we allow you guys to control, remaining portion of the show. It keeps you guys interested essentially. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. You no longer, for the first show in probably like 4 years, have the smoothest voice on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, Silent Cypher's got the throne for the night, man. Hey, it's good to have him on here. But yeah, I plan on, taking the title back to next Saturday. But for today, it's awesome having him on here and hearing what he has to say about the topics tonight. Glad to be here with you guys, and awesome to see the guys in the chat and stuff. But man, some interesting stuff to talk about. I'm not going to take any more time. Let's get to it.
let's dive right in, man. Once again, chat, you guys know what it is. A lot of familiar faces. What's up, Ashtray? We got 2 frauds, you and Blue, hanging out with us. Appreciate you guys, man. Always showing love in chat. But let's go ahead and dive in, man. Once again, shout out to the poll of the week every single week on my Twitter. All of that information down in the description below. So follow me there if you want to take part in the poll of the week every single Monday. We talk about it here on Saturday at the Shop Podcast. So poll of the week. And once again, I do it on Monday. So things do change sometimes, and it kind of skews the way the poll looks. So this is all in hindsight, right? So we got to give me a break this week, Pong. You can't be too tough on me, right? We can't be not too much scrutiny this week, Pong.
I'm sorry. I'm losing sound. PTK, just continue forward.
Oh my goodness. All of a sudden, he got audio issues. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive in with the poll of the week, chat. Shout out to you guys, man. So the poll of the week this week was, which showcase will have the biggest surprise announcement this summer, and what will the surprise be? 83% Xbox Showcase, 11% actual Summer Games Fest, Sony Showcase 4%, Nintendo Direct 2%. Obviously, this was prior to us getting this information, and we'll get into that here shortly. But we'll still roll with the poll of the week, chat. Let us know how you guys feel about the poll of the week. What was your answer? What did you vote for? So we'll start with you, Silent Side, for being the first-time guest here, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us. So which one did you choose? Now, like I said before, this is all in hindsight.
So here's my thought, right? Between Microsoft and the Summer Games Fest, I'd say those are going to be the 2 in contention. But I think the biggest thing is, like, you would think that Microsoft, you would think that they would come out and be like, okay, we're going to save all the sweet stuff for you, right? Like, we're going to save it here. We're going to make you come to us on that one. However, the Summer Games Fest has a massive audience.
Yes.
So my thought is Summer Games Fest is going to be the one, because Sony, Microsoft, those guys, they know how big an audience they have. So they're going to put the big stuff there. Granted, they won't be a slouch at their own shows, but they are going to put some big stuff in that one. So that's my guess.
Awesome. Okay. Well, no. Once again, that's a great breakdown. So I do think, obviously, as a poll, mirrors your answer there. So I do think people, even with the information that we got, even with the changes, and we'll get into that once again, because it's obviously the biggest thing that happened this week. I still think the showcase is going to be fantastic. There's still a lot there. There's a lot of meat on the bone. I still want to see Starfield. I don't think that takes away from me still wanting to see it, some gameplay. I mean, maybe it knocks some of the wind off the sails, but ultimately I still like to see it, like to see some gameplay, like to see it running, levels, things like that. So we'll go ahead and throw this over to you, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. And once again, chat, let us know how you guys feel about this poll of the week. Once again, we do this every Monday. Talk about it here on the Shop Podcast on Saturday. So it's on you, Fuzz.
Now, bear in mind, this was obviously before the news later in the week or before Thursday. I voted Xbox only because I, along with the way, like kind of like what Cypher was saying, I do believe that there are going to be some gems that are put into the summer showcase because, like you said, it is a large audience. But I kind of felt to some extent that Microsoft would keep one of those projects that didn't leak possibly for like the end of the show or something along those lines. Like a lot of the stuff that we'll see at Summer Games Fest, the gaming media is kind of, I wouldn't say they spoiled some of the surprise, but I think there's a lot of the stuff that will make an appearance will be things that we're either kind of aware of or kind of expect to come out type of thing. But as far as like Xbox's showcase prior to Thursday, you had, the stuff that we knew was going to be there. But like I said, I figured they were going to try to pull an Apple, kind of like the way they did last year with Redfall at the end and do like, one more thing. And it's like a project that no one had info on type of thing. But
that can still happen.
Yes. It can definitely still happen.
We don't want to,
Now it's, I don't know. For me, a little bit of wind's been taken out of the sails, but not like a lot. But it's just one of those things now where I'm kind of hoping more than hoping that there's something like just one more thing type of deal or something along those lines. But I voted Xbox just because I don't even know if Sony's going to do a showcase. They will probably do like a state of play. I don't think they're going to do a full-on showcase this, at least, June, July time. That's my take. I think maybe a late July, early August, they might do something, but it'll be more along the lines of like a state of play kind of thing. But that's just my thoughts on it.
Okay. So I want to kind of ping pong this back to you, Cypher, if you don't mind here. So with us obviously knowing, and we're going to get into this extensively, right? This is probably what we're going to talk about next ultimately. So shocker, right? This is what we're going to talk about next. But ultimately, so from perspective of that showcase, like this is like how much do you think this alters the direction of that showcase in general?
So I guess this kind of goes back to what a lot of us have been talking about the last few days, right? Is when was it that Microsoft decided they were going to do these delays? Because if it turns out that it was when they went to visit just a couple days ago and they saw where things were at and they said, okay, hey, we gotta pull the plug right now. We've got a plan. Or if it's something that they kind of had a feeling was coming, like if they had a feeling that maybe this was a thing for a while, then that's the thing is like that's obviously not giving you much, but I'd say it really just depends on when they knew they were going to pull these games, right? Yeah. Because if it's been months in planning, we know that they usually start prepping their E3 stuff right around like November, December, January timeframe. So just depending on where we were sitting at on that one is going to show, but I think there is going to be a knock-on effect to an extent. Like I still think we're going to see Starfield. I think we're going to see Redfall in a big way. But I don't know. I'm a little reluctant to say that it's going to be the same show it was previously. I kind of feel like maybe this was shorter notice thing.
Yeah. No, understandable. And once again, that's the big question here. And I do want to make sure we're clear on this. People do have a right to be disappointed. People do have a right to be disappointed. And I want to make sure I'm clear on that. Now, I understand, and I want to challenge the chat. And I want to bring this question up to chat mainly. And you guys chat, let me know you guys feel about this. And obviously we'll talk about it here on the panel. We've seen what the other option looks like. So I think we know what that looks like, right? That looks like Anthem. That looks like Cyberpunk, and mind you, Cyberpunk is in a far better state now, and probably was actually, maybe some of that was a bit overblown. But ultimately, that's not what any of us want.
No,
I'd have to delete Twitter if Starfield came out and it was on the equivalent of those other games. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't what it was supposed to be. Like, we could deal with a delay. Like, ultimately, we can deal with it. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. And, it sucks. It really does suck, because as a gamer, I want to play those games. You guys told me this is when we're going to get them. Everything seemed confident. I get hit with a left hook out of nowhere. And it feels like, damn, you kind of grinched us, there. But ultimately, there's still a lot of meat on the bone, still a lot of stuff that they can show, a lot of games, unannounced stuff that I'm excited for. I still want to see stuff, right? I think we do. Like, people are upset right now. Like, I still want to see stuff. I'm still going to enjoy the event for what it is. It does knock a bit of wind out the sails, and we'll get into that. So, Pong, we actually gonna go ahead and throw this over to you, brother. Like you said, I know you've talked about this extensively this week. You said it hadn't been necessarily a great week. We here on the Shop Podcast know how you feel about Bethesda and those titles and those games, and just kind of give us kind of where you're at.
You want me to answer the question on the poll? Is that where you want me to go with this first?
Yeah. Before we get,
Okay. All right. So with the poll, it was a toss up between Sony and Xbox, to be honest, but I went the fuzzy route, because there's no guarantee. There's been nothing announced from Sony. So I can't say that they're going to have anything, like a showcase in the summertime. But they're due, right? And they're going to sell some hopes and dreams here real quick. I have a feeling that a lot of the stuff behind the scenes that we aren't aware of yet will be coming to light here within this year, as far as probably another one of those famous E3 type performances where they sell the hopes and dreams about what's actually in the pipeline. And I think there could be some big surprises in there. But again, because I can't say for sure that they're going to have a summer showcase, I took them out of the equation, and that leaves Xbox and Summer Games Fest. I think
quick questions. Let's back up just a little bit.
Shoot.
So why are we so reluctant on Sony having a showcase?
Because like Fuzzy said, I expect more of a state of play, depending on God of War status. If God of War finally gets decided, I think that if God of War, if they're going to hit 2022, right? That's the big if. But if they're going to hit 2022, they got to capitalize on what just happened. I actually expect it next week. If they're going to say anything, I would probably say if we don't hear about it by June, then it's not coming out in 2022. Okay. So I think that somewhere in there, we get a state of play with a God of War blowout. And that would be a big deal, right? I just don't think they're going to do the showcase this early. I think they're going to wait until later in the year, like Fuzz said. That's my thing, because they don't generally have anything going on the second half of the year. That's not how Sony rolls for the holidays. They'll use that time, the fall, leading into the winter time, to sell their hopes and dreams and do a big thing about what's coming next year, or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years down the line. And I think that's probably where Sony's going to wind up. So that's just my take on it, though.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So once again, that's completely understandable. Once again, that's the poll of the week. So, and that leads right into our next topic of conversation. Obviously, the reason why everybody's watching, and shout out to everybody in chat as well. Bacon, Gerald Mack, Zink hanging out with us, everybody hanging out. Appreciate the thumbs up, the likes. Appreciate you guys always kicking it with us here, man. Once again, shout out to Silent Cypher. Sure, I guess some love. All his information down in the description below, man. So make sure you guys go follow him on Twitter and things like that. So we'll dive into the next topic. And obviously, we just been talking about it. This whole Bethesda, Starfield, and Redfall being delayed, pushed till 2023. So obviously this news came down like a left hook. I didn't see it coming out. There was no insiders. There was nothing, bone dry. This was a left field. So kind of where are we at on this now after letting it marinate? I do. This is one thing about having this show on Saturday Cypher, is I like to, because it's so late in the week, people have gotten a chance to kind of sit on the news. You know what I'm saying? So where are we at now? So where are you at now, Cypher, with thinking about everything, going over all the different scenarios? Obviously, the disappointment is there. I think that's obvious. So we do have to address that. But after that because we're gonna go play games. I'm getting off this after this, and I'm gonna go play video games. So like that's still gonna happen for most of us. So where are you at going forward?
Well, so before I go to where I'm at now, just real quick to paint a picture of where I was at a couple days ago,
Yeah.
because I'm sure a bunch of people can relate. I was at work. I was sitting there in the chat between my XBI friends, and one of them posted something about Redfall getting delayed. And I was like, okay, well, Redfall getting delayed, I can't say I'm too surprised. We haven't seen much from it. That's fine. I didn't realize at the time that Redfall and Starfield had both gotten delayed at the same time. Limited internet connectivity at work. And so when I finally saw the news on my first break, felt like someone had given me a gut punch. Not gonna lie, it was kind of a hard pill to swallow because like that's the rest of the year, right? As far as what we know. No, that being said, there's probably a lot of stuff that we aren't aware of that's coming. Obviously, Game Pass will be a big thing, and they could make some good deals.
Yeah.
But that was a sharp moment. After I've had a few days, and cooler heads prevail.
Yeah.
It's the same conversation we have all the time, right? Is yes, it's delayed, but ultimately the delay is going to be a good thing. If they're concerned and they're pulling them both back at this point in time, there's got to be a reason. Like there could have been a malicious bug, something that came up that's a drastic enough reason to push these games back, or just potentially, when they did go to visit, if that's when they made that decision, maybe they just wanted more polish on there. Like Bethesda is known for, having buggy games. So if this means that we're going to see something that's not going to be as buggy as maybe the alternative, again, you talked about earlier with like Cyberpunk and stuff like that. If we can get a more polished product, I'm good with it. I'm calmer about it now. I'm very curious what this means for the showcase now.
Yes.
I know Pong Soul said the same thing. Is like this makes that showcase a lot more interesting. Because yes, we'll still see them, but now like what cards are going to be played potentially that weren't going to just yet, or what deals are they going to try and work in, or announcements are they going to work in that maybe they didn't have previously?
That's a good point because things do change. Things can change abruptly in business, and the amount of money, the things that have been going on recently, nothing's out of the realm of possibility here. So I do think that's a great breakdown. And I think ultimately people are going to lead themselves there. I'm still excited about what the show, and that's the cool thing. The cool point of view that you and Pong brought up is that interesting to see now what cards are in the deck, right? Like what hand do they play now? What do they fill in? What do they swap around? What deal do they make? Do they already have something on the table? Was there already a contingency? Now we're not going to know till the show happens, right? Like that's
right.
We're not going to know shit. I mean, obviously, we may get information here. I hate leaks, by the way. Just want to make sure we reiterate that on this podcast. We do not. Although we do visit
Wait. Speak for yourself, sir. Again, I want to see all the Christmas presents. I want to see everything through 2025. Please, Phil,
I was talking to.
Show us the roadmap.
I forgot who was in
peeling away the gift wrap to take a quick view of the corner of the box.
I'm the one who hunt down all my Christmas presents before they were wrapped. Okay, so I'm the same now as an adult.
But no. So I mean, either way. So ultimately, let's go ahead and just dive into this a little bit. So where you at on this, Fuzz?
Well, on the initial news, much like Cypher, it was kind of like a gut punch. I mean, it's not the biggest gut punch. Yes, I was looking forward to Redfall, looter shooter. I'm back to playing my favorite looter shooter, Division 2 right now. So kind of wanted to see where this was going to go. Was kind of expecting them to delay it, but I was hoping that, well, they haven't said anything yet. Figured maybe it was still on schedule or on track or whatever. Because I figured it's like they're not going to wait until the 11th hour to do this. They would have done this like in March or something. So much for that. But as far as like with Starfield, the pending date and they seem real confident in the episodes, and I myself, I can only speak for myself. I took that as, oh, well, this thing is pretty much done. They're confident, they're glowing, they're excited about it. Yeah, this thing is in the bag for 11/11, and to hear that it's delayed, it's like, ugh. But on the flip side of things, it's like, you know what? It's for the best in the sense that, okay, I don't have to worry about losing my save, hopefully, or getting stuck, in a certain part of the world and not being able to, fast travel or move, or any of the game breaking bugs that sometimes occur in releases where you have to have like a day one patch type of deal. So the delay itself, disappointing, not the end of the world. But then, it starts to hit me. It's like, well, okay, well, what else are they going to have in
Yeah.
place of this? And why did they, kind of just send in their homework as opposed to make a personal appearance? Like, it's not that they have to get in front of the camera and be like, oh, we're sorry, we messed up. But it's like, the way I kind of looked at it is, if you're going to delay the game and you've already been doing episodes, why not just do another episode? And you know what? You're probably going to have to adjust your showcase. So go ahead and show the gameplay now. Wow us with it. And at the end, explain, do the PR spin, whatever you have to do. Explain to us, based on the ambitions of this game and all the other, details that we want to squeeze into this for, the full launch. So it is a complete content and blah, blah, blah. We're going to we unfortunately have to make the decision to postpone this, 6 months or, until the first or second quarter of 2023. Me personally, I would have been a little more at ease with that, as opposed to just the almost like the, instead of a yellow card from like what we got from Cyberpunk, we got the black card on there with the, oh, we're sorry. And then Phil chimes in, we hear the feedback, and it's like, yeah, you hear the feedback, but wow, how how long did you know that this thing was going to get to this point type of deal? But yeah, I still stand by the, instead of just the text on Twitter, maybe a video, but maybe they didn't have time for that. Understood, whatever. But on the flip side of things, I just hope, wish, expect at this point that they've already got some sort of plan B in place. Right now, there's a lot of silence on their end from, they've already said the delay. Not much more to expect from them at this point. But, hopefully for the showcase, and like, Cypher and Pong had said, it's like, hey, this makes it more interesting. I mean, for me, it takes two notches off of the excitement of the showcase, because, well, those games are even further out than what was originally planned. But that also gives them that perfect opportunity to wow us with whatever they have to slide in place of those, or whatever other projects are, in the pipeline, hopefully coming soon. But I don't know. The disappointment does put a bit of a bad taste on them giving dates in the future, which I've heard Pong say this before. I'll let him go into more detail, but push those dates out a lot further. Like that's probably their best bet, and you know, you have a better chance at surprising us or something like that if you're able to deliver, or on or before type of deal. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. My big thing. Let's see if Forza Motorsport gets shown and gets a release date. Because at this point, if they postpone that, it's not that it's going to be like, oh, Christmas is ruined, but it's going to be like, man, oh well, I guess I'll be playing a lot more GT7 until Motorsport comes out, and then hopefully we'll have like Test Drive Unlimited, Crown or Solar Crown, and Need for Speed. I can fall into those a bit more, and whatever else third party has ready to go between now and the end of the year. But it is disappointing. Long road of, I guess, 5 degrees of separation, not 5 degrees of separation, but like the 5 steps of grief or whatever type of deal. So it is what it is. I just hope they have some plan B's lined up for us, whether it be Saints Row, Day and Date, or what else? Like the Need for Speed game coming Day and Date. I would like for them to do Jedi Survivor, but I guess that's going to be early next year, so that kind of misses the window. But yeah, we'll see what the showcase holds. Definitely makes it gives it different energy. Let's just say it's more like everybody's. I won't say I'm looking for it to fail, but I know there's a lot of people that aren't in the ecosystem that don't like Xbox anyway. They're going to be like, see, they didn't even deliver. But it's definitely going to be a whole different energy on that showcase now. That's all I got.
No, completely understandable. So, and I do think that's the big thing here, right? That is how they pivot is kind of the important thing, about that. And I don't want to be too doom and gloom here because once again, there's still a lot of meat on the bone. There's still a lot of stuff to see that we have not seen yet. So I'm still excited to see whatever they're going to show on whatever fills in maybe the case. And the crazy thing is that because this got pushed out, this may mean we might not see Starfield until either later this year, like VGA or something, because it's further out, just strictly because of the timeline. So we'll get into that. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong, so we can go ahead, bro.
All right. Where to begin here? Okay, look, this is a loss, and I know PTK, like you said, it's hard to talk about this and not sound doom and gloom.
Yeah,
and I think every show that I've kind of gave that warning, like, hey, this is a discussion that needs to be had. We can't sugarcoat this, okay? We can't. It is what it is, but it's definitely not doom and gloom for Xbox. My God, this company is investing more money than any company currently has ever invested in video gaming, and so Xbox is gonna be fine. And video and gamers have the shortest memory of all time out of any human kind of, I don't know what you want to call it. Anybody who enjoys a hobby, I think gamers got the shortest term memory ever, right? So I think everything's going to be great, but we do have to talk about this. This is a big, huge L, okay? Period. Point blank. This is a big L for Xbox. This creates a gigantic planet-sized hole in your lineup for 2022. And this is the second year of a brand new generation, and you really don't have anything. Again, we're resting laurels on motorsport right now, but we don't have a date. We're all assuming that it's there, but we don't know yet. And again, at the end of the day, there is valid criticism that this is unacceptable, right? There's valid criticism that this should not happen, right? This should not be the case. Look, here's the deal. Everybody here knows how I feel about Starfield. Everybody does. Everybody's heard me talk about it. Todd Howard, again, love the man, everything else. Let's talk about Redfall first, though. Redfall, to me, I think was already known to be delayed. I was still thinking that it could be on time. I was still thinking maybe if it got delayed, it got pushed to, fall or, winter time. But I thought it was going to make 2022. But again, marketing hasn't started up for Redfall yet. So I said, I think just on a couple shows ago, PTK, or maybe even last week, I said, if we're going to get a Redfall delay, it's going to be in May, right? Because it was coming down to the wire here, like, hey, if you're going to say something, you got to say something here soon. And that's exactly what happened. So Redfall was kind of expected, and hearing, Arcane put out a tweet afterwards saying it's their most ambitious title to date. That this is, when they say that means to me that this is potentially bigger than we originally thought, right? Because a lot of people kind of have pushed it off. Oh, it's a looter shooter, oh, great, vampires, whatever, whatever. And I've been trying to say, well, look, it's Arcane though, and Arcane is extremely creative and comes up with new mechanics and likes to put their own twist on whatever game that they are kind of creating. So that's why I was excited for Redfall, because I wanted to see what Arcane was going to do with that genre. And because obviously, again, just like you guys, I'm a looter shooter fan. So I think that one was probably known, and that one was planned, right? And I think that probably had already been moved from the showcase, or at least the blowout kind of, big kind of expose on the gameplay and all that kind of stuff probably had been scaled back to a smaller, more, maybe we get a short game clip trailer of something from the game. But at this point, with no release date next year in 2023, maybe we don't see Redfall at all. I can see them pulling both of these from the show. So, again, Redfall, is what it is. I'm disappointed, or whatever the case may be. But to have both, to have Starfield announced after it was written in pen, quote unquote, from Todd Howard himself, not pencil, is a gigantic blow here. This was a game that was going to start this generation for Xbox in a lot of ways. Yes, we got Forza Horizon 5. Yes, we got Halo Infinite, of course, but those were cross-gen titles. Starfield was going to be the first current gen only type game that we were going to get from Xbox. It also was going to be the start of the new era of ZeniMax, of Bethesda Xbox, right? Of Xbox Bethesda. This was going to start the new era. We just saw Bethesda release 2 games that went to PlayStation 5, right? The last 2 under contract. Yes, we're going to get those games over on Xbox eventually, right? Maybe Deathloop this fall and Tokyo Ghostwire next year in the springtime, which is great. It's fantastic, but those were still out there for other consoles players to enjoy, not for Xbox. So this was going to be that beginning. It was going to be the gunshot, right? From here on out, all these acquisitions, we were going to start seeing those games come to fruition. So this is a big moment for Xbox on top of pushing Game Pass subscriptions, which is their main goal. I mean, they've got other goals as well, as we know, with cloud and all that kind of stuff. But Game Pass is the vehicle that they're driving right now. And Starfield was going to give them that ammo for this holidays to really push that Game Pass and maybe even the puck, the streaming puck that we've been hearing about coming out, push those Series S consoles. We talked about that, dropping the price $250, $199 if they could. That was going to kill this holiday season for Xbox. So all of that in consideration, something major had to happen.
Yeah.
Now, Cypher brought it up, and was kind of curious about. I'll give you my take on it. Again, none of us will ever know. I've said now, after this happened, I've been saying all week, I really want a couple of studios, somebody to approach them and do an NFL Films type behind the scenes documentary about one of these big AAA games. And I know there's a couple documentaries out, and actually on Living Split Screen, people gave me a couple more to go watch as well that are out there. But I'd like to see one from beginning to end of one of these big giant games to see what happens in give us a glimpse, because everybody says, well, you guys don't understand development. You're right. We only understand it as just kind of we can from learning about it, but we don't know what it's really like. It would be so interesting to get a Hard Knocks version of development of one of these big giant games to kind of see what happens, the ups and the downs, because I personally think something big happened here. And I think something big happened within the past 30 days. All the marketing that was done was standard operating procedure for Bethesda, on point, leading up to the showcase, and then 11/11/22. Everything they had done was as if it was on time. They would not be releasing those video docs that they did if they knew that this game was going to be delayed. So I think something major happened, whether it is a game-breaking bug or whether they ran into some issues and there was going to be features that they were going to have to cut to make it happen on 11/11/22. And that's when the call was put out. And Todd called Phil and said, Phil, here's the deal. Here's the deal. We can get the game out on 11/11/22, but it's not going to be complete. We can make it work. Most of it will be there, but we're going to be missing some of the core features that we really wanted to include because this game is so huge. We've got all these different things going on. We got building, we got space flight, we've got exploration, we've got all these factions, we got all these jobs. You could look, we're going to have to cut some of it to make it happen. We could do it and then release it later, or we could delay it and we can get our real vision out there to the world. And I think that's when the decision was made. The marketing team, Phil Greenberg, everybody flew out there and they had a big powwow, right? And they had a big sit down and they talked about it. And they had that one picture where it looked like they were in the theater, probably just got done watching certain footage from all the games, probably there. And I think the decision was made there and then, hey, we're going to delay this. How are we going to move forward? Because now this shifts all their marketing plans, right? This shifts everything. Look, there's no way they knew about this because Xbox's showcase theme would not have been centered around Starfield like it is. right?
True.
Knowing if it was delayed, they would have come out with that logo. When did they give us the logo? Not even 30 days ago? When did they drop that showcase logo? I can't even remember. Was it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
it was a
like
few
that.
weeks ago.
Yeah, they never would have made it that way with the Xbox symbol eclipsing the planet from the star field had they known this was going to happen, right? This changes everything. So they got to go back to the drawing board with the showcase. The good news is that according to Rand, who was on PM and the PM with me and Mav, when he said this, that got kind of blown up, according to what he's heard, almost every single team has supplied Phil and his group with some footage of their games to be used in the showcase. Now, they weren't ever going to show all of that, right? They were going to hold some of it back for some of the other things coming up, but they've got now the ability to go back and they've got all this content ready. So now they can work around it and kind of, piece the showcase back together with some things that maybe like Cypher said, they weren't planning on actually showing. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. But this is a big L. Again, you can't sugarcoat this. It's not doom and gloom, right? It isn't. Xbox is going to be fine. Okay. Next year, now on paper, my God. Okay, look, we're talking about ridiculous next year. Okay. If everything falls according to plan, which we know doesn't happen, but it definitely could. To Fuzzy's point about the release dates and the disappointment, again, this takes a little sheen off the showcase. It changes because now questions have to be answered. And like I said, it makes it actually more interesting. I was just going into the showcase hyped, seeing Starfield gameplay, blowout Todd on stage, getting ready for 11/11/22. This was going to be the main part of the moment. In fact, it probably, if it had showed correctly, would have overshadowed whatever else they did during the showcase. Well, now that all changes, right? Now that sheen's kind of gone, but now we get to see Xbox pivot and we get to see how they adapt to a situation like this with their showcase. And I think they're going to do a masterful job. Don't get me wrong. I think they have a chance to actually do a better show than last year at this point, because now the pressure is really on. And I think, again, all of this speculation, of course, but I think that Phil's really going to come out and lay it all out for us and give us some extra stuff. And again, whatever they were holding back for Game Pass, I think now comes out into the open. And I think they're going to say, hey, yes, losing Starfield and Redfall, first party titles, big games from big studios, that hurts. But here's what we've got for you. And I think that's going to happen. But again, Fuzzy's point and what I've been saying as far as the dates go, look, whatever these studios are doing, I don't care. Again, delays are great. Okay. I don't have problem with delays. Again, I don't know why we have to keep saying that, but some people in the audiences always take it as we're saying we don't want games delayed. I want games delayed until they're ready. Okay. Don't get me wrong. There's no way that studios can pull back from giving us dates. People will hate on that as well and say, why don't we have a date? Why are you showing me a trailer and not giving me some kind of time frame here? Why are you doing this to us? They have to give a date. So my opinion and my idea, whatever your internal date is that you're going for, let's use Starfield 11/11/22, push it out a year. Come out and say 11/11/23. And then if you get that ready, all of a sudden you surprise the gaming world at one of the showcases and be like, surprise, we're ready. You're getting it 6 months early. The positivity that comes from that cannot be understated if they started doing that. Yes, some of the dates would look crazy because they're pushed a year beyond what even the internals are, but we would get used to that. What we wouldn't get used to, or what we wouldn't know, is what studios are actually ahead of that curve. What studios are actually going to surprise us this time around. And that would be fantastic for the devs. It'd be fantastic for us as gamers who do like to be surprised like that instead of disappointed with it being pushed out and wanting that game and wanting to look forward to that game. So I think that's one way to cure this going forward. And I hope that Xbox does look at this. I know Todd set this one, right? Bethesda's in control. Todd set this date. This was on him. He obviously was confident. All the Viadocs showed us that he was confident and his team was confident that they were going to hit this date. And, he said it last year. They were in the polishing stage. They're going to take the next year to polish, all that stuff. Something happened in there, but that's on Todd. Todd made the call. It wasn't Phil and his team. So in this case, I do put the onus on Bethesda for doing this. But again, at the end of the day, I'm glad they did it. Now, as far as the showcase goes, and I'll wrap this up, PTK, because I know it's just a big deal because there's
It's
so
all
many.
good, man. It's all
There's
good.
so
I get it.
there's so many layers to this, right? Now, the big deal is for me is the showcase now at this point, right? We've gotten all the sadness out of the way. I don't get to play the game that I was looking forward to the most this year. The game I've been looking forward most for years outside of Cyberpunk is Starfield because of the studio. So we get all that out of the way, right? And then we got to get down to reality. The showcase is coming. And the deal with the showcase is the wording in the delay is the thing that caught my eye immediately outside of the gut punch, right? Outside of being extremely depressed there for a second, the wording. They could have easily said, we can't wait to show you what we've been working on at the showcase June 12th. They did not do that. Okay. They said soon. Okay. That to me says that again, because this is Bethesda, they're going back and they're going to rework their marketing strategy here for it, because now we're talking maybe a year from now before we see either one of these games, maybe even longer, right? So I think they're going back to the drawing board, which to me says we don't obviously get the blowouts at the showcase. And like I said before, at the beginning of this, I think one or both could be pulled from the showcase completely. And they go back to their regular Bethesda schedule. They'll show us when they're closer to being ready. Maybe end of the year XO, if we get an XO, something like that. We might see one of them there. Or we don't see anything till next year. Todd goes back to his normal, way of doing things. And let's say Starfield is May. He doesn't show us until March, right? Or February, right? He doesn't say anything until then, until they're ready. So I think that that's going to, again, adjust the entire showcase. But what that does allow is other games to get their shine. If Motorsport is ready for this year, obviously blow that out. Okay. Show off Motorsport. It's going to look absolutely ridiculous. Fuzzy can tell you how the nuts and bolts are going to look. Look, it's going to be ridiculously good. So showcase that, right? Avowed. It's time to see Avowed. They cut it last year. Showcase Avowed. It's got to be close to being ready. Now that's going to get interesting next year when they slot it. I put it out there on Twitter. Maybe Avowed's ready for the 11/11/22. Even though they moved to Unreal Engine 5, they could have had a lot of help from the coalition to make it happen. Obsidian is Wizards, but that's the longest of long shots. But you still have to showcase Avowed. So you give that its shine at the showcase as well. That kind of takes the place of those two games that you kind of missed out there with those two. And then you just go full bore like you did last year. Quick hits, lots of gameplay, lots of Game Pass announcements. Throw in the surprises that you've been holding back. Even if you were trying to hold some for closer to the holiday season, pour them out here in the showcase. And you will come out and people will be like, okay, not getting Starfield, not getting Redfall, but look what they're doing over there. They're still trying to get value into Game Pass. They're still showing us that it's worthwhile to stick with the subscriptions. Again, I'm not the guy who's going to cancel my subscription. I think it's worthwhile no matter what. I'm a grazer. Look, folks, I ain't going to be out on Twitter saying on 11/11/22 I got nothing to play. I sure wish Starfield was here. You're never going to see me say that. As a gamer, I'm set. I'm fine. I got more games to play that I know what to do with. But there's a lot of people out there who are going to be asking that question. There's a lot of people who already ran out and bought an S and joined Game Pass because they knew Starfield was coming. You got to keep those people invested, right? So you got to throw the book at this. And I think that's what they do. And if they do that right, people, again, will come out of this saying, okay, it's a big disappointment, but look, they're really trying to make it up. Nothing can really fill that hole created by Starfield, that planet-sized hole. But Phil is doing a damn good job at trying to make that happen here. There's a lot of good stuff coming, a couple aces up their sleeves, showcase those, whatever, third party or first party, whatever aces you got, it's time to lay them out, Phil. Like I said, reach into that candy bag. Instead of bringing out one or two pieces like you do on a regular basis for us, give us a handful this time and say, guess what, folks, take your pick. I got something for everybody in this hand. Whatever you like, I got for you. We're dropping it in the Game Pass in the next 6 months. And I think that would soothe things over. And then again, short-term memory, gamers forget. We get closer to 2023. Excitement starts rebuilding. Marketing starts back up again. By the time it's ready, both of them to release, things are ready to go again. So there's my long-winded take. It's a lot. I got more, but I'll cut it at that. So thanks.
No, it's all good. No, once again, chat. This is a complicated situation, and I wanted to make sure I got to you, Pong, because I know out of all of us here, you probably had the closest, you had the highest expectations of Starfield and out of Todd and reverence, essentially for Bethesda and what they do. And once again, this is something that we have to consider now. Like, what is going to fill that slot? Like, how creative are they going to get? And I still want to see a lot of the things that I haven't seen yet. There's other things going on. There's other games that they have in production that I still like to see. So maybe there's other deals in place already. So who knows, right? So we'll definitely see. And the rest of this year will be super interesting. So this kind of segues into our next topic, chat. So we're going like super deep on this one this week. So the next topic is it time to cut the cord essentially from the last gen? So that kind of piggybacks on this question of the whole delays and why things happen. And I've seen an argument on Twitter this week, and it kind of sparked this question to be part of our chat here today, panel. So we'll throw this over to you, Cypher, first. But do you feel like, just based on things we've seen, some of the issues with being able to do both, it hasn't been, I wouldn't say it's been a major issue. I wouldn't say that, but there definitely have been some points of pain with the transition. So where you at? Do you think it's time to do you think this was kind of the last year we see that?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of lands with what Microsoft was saying previously, right? They were saying that we would see the crossover, the cross-gen games and stuff for a couple of years into the life cycle, and that would be about the time that we'd see that transition. So I don't see a problem with it personally. And, some people could come at me and say, okay, that's anti-consumer, you're taking away from where people can access the game and stuff like that. But I would argue that this is the best time to do this because now you have cloud gaming, you have access to those games. So even if your old hardware can't play that game anymore, you still have access to that game, and you don't have to worry about developers maybe like, you look at the transition. I like to go back to the Tony Hawk games when we were going from PS2, PS3, or like PS1 to PS2 and stuff, right? You'd see certain things that would get left out. You'd see the draw distance would be worse on the older systems. You'd see certain game types wouldn't be available because, the hardware couldn't handle it. And so, like I'm for having those transitions, but especially now where we've got cloud gaming and you've got access to games where you can just stream that onto your current systems. I mean, hell, you could stream it to the Xbox, like the Xbox One, and just do it through cloud streaming and not have to worry about the fact that you're getting, certain features cut out and stuff, right? Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and I think it's a good time. Like I said, Microsoft said it was going to be about a 2-year window or a couple-year window. So I wouldn't fault them if they decide that, hey, this is the time to make that transition.
Yeah, no, once again, and that's something this is always kind of an odd question in the community because there's a lot of pushback on either side, right? There's this idea of game preservance, right? Like we want to preserve games and gamers that being able to reach back and play these older games. At the same time, I love new shit. I love new shit, so I want to be able to fully take advantage of the new stuff that you guys give me, so there are some limitations with that system, but ultimately the transition is what matters. And I do think that they did say it was a couple year window. I don't know if they said 2, but we assume 2 to 3 year window.
I think it was a couple year.
Couple, yeah. Once again,
which gave them some leeway.
Gave them a little bit of leeway. I think they said a couple. So, with PC terms, 2 to 3 years, somewhere around there before we see a full transition over. So this does, a lot of pieces move around now. But let's go ahead and get this over to you, Fuzz.
Mm-hmm.
And just get to where you're at on this, brother.
For me, well, Cypher hit the nail on the head with the cloud gaming aspect. I mean, I'm of the mindset that we don't need to continue doing these cross-gen games. Now, I know that that's cutting off a pretty big audience, although from an Xbox standpoint, it's not as big of an audience in comparison to PlayStation, where you're going from 100 million consoles down to 20 million consoles. So I can see why they're going to probably want to continue it a good bit longer. For Xbox, we're roughly guesstimating somewhere between 50 and 60 million to now just shy of like 19 million or 18 million or something like that. So it is a smaller window, but now if you have the ability to do the game in the cloud, even though it's not a native app on the console, it is at least an option. Now, I guess the bigger question would be, is it easier for the studios to develop a cross-gen, or is it easier to go back instead of like having to optimize it, do the cloud gaming aspect, which I'm hoping the cloud is a little bit easier and not as time consuming or as intensive, labor intensive as doing the optimization for the previous generation, where you're having to kind of scale things back or remove or omit certain things. But I the thing I've noticed visually and just mechanics wise in these cross-gen games that rear their head on the next gen consoles versus the previous gen is that it's not the visuals, because a lot of people are like, oh, it scales, it's x86 or 486 architecture. That's great. That only counts as far as visual. It does not count for AI. I don't care what anybody else in the community says. I'll give you a perfect example. GT7, we're still stuck at 20 cars. And I'm pretty proficient as far as adjusting a transmission as far as the gear ratios on my tunes. When you start a race and you feel that invisible wall that you're hitting, that's the speed barrier that's built into how the architecture of the game was designed. It's the same problem that you have with Grand Theft Auto. You ever wonder why you have things that look like Bugattis in that game but can never go past 120 miles an hour unless you mod it on PC, and even then it's still a bit wonky? It's because the world can't load as fast as what the car should be able to move. It's how it's written. So when you put it on a next gen console, it doesn't matter. It's still hitting that load of detail or load of data wall. And if you're going to have it work on both games and have it where both consoles can interact, like a person on the Xbox One can interact with a person on the Series X online, you're always going to have that. Until you cut that cord, you're basically bottlenecking the actual world, just movement, speed, and a lot of other things. So I'm all for next gen only at this point. Cloud gaming for the rest of the stuff. If it's a major title, like even the big dogs out there, like if you look at 2K, if you look at EA with Madden, they made specifically different games for those generations. And they don't even have it where you can interact. Now, there are some legacy titles, like Warzone is still, I believe, legacy to some extent. But if you look at like Madden, they had two different versions. They had the one for the previous gen and the one for the next gen. Same thing with 2K. And if I'm not mistaken, you can't interact with those on a different generation. And there's a reason for that. It's I don't know. I just hope at this point, I know that the hardware is in a shortage or chip shortage and stuff like that, and they're harder to come by, but it's still a problem outside of visuals. Visuals, yeah, you can scale that all day. You can add all the ray tracing and global illumination and all that stuff. That part's fine, but you can't tell me that the worlds are able to scale when you can clearly see you're hitting invisible walls. Things aren't as smooth, and it's not like frame rates are dropping. It's a loading issue, and it comes down to the CPU core itself. It's not something that you can actually scale. Because if you could, there would be a distinctly different version for PC, a distinctly different version for next gen consoles versus previous gen consoles on a lot of games. But I said my piece on that.
Well, no, it's funny because we've talked about this question and we've seen a lot of people, have opinions on both sides, and it's super interesting to see that, that's kind of the perspective at this point in time, how we've kind of shifted. I once again, game preservation is a priority, and I understand that, and that is awesome. There are some obvious limitations with being able to pull everything forward, and I do think that they clearly had a plan on like when they were going to cut the cord. They had a general time on when we were going to stop doing this. So I do think there was an intention there. There was a destination that they were trying to get to, the point to where, okay, we're not going to be doing this anymore and everything's just going to be on next gen only going forward. So I still have faith in that they're going to get to that point at some time, whether it be 23, 24. I don't know at this point. What just happened kind of shifted the calendar a bit. So we may have to revisit this in a few months, maybe after the show. Obviously.
My best guesstimate is going to be, let's say, up to a year prior to these consoles launching, which I guess they came out 2020. So you figure, however, the development time from 2019 on is where a game that was made prior to that, like I'm going to say Gotham Knights was probably started prior to that. It's still going to be like cross-gen, even though they've dropped the previous gen. It's just a matter of now they don't have to spend all those hours optimizing it for the previous. But like if the dev kits were out, like let's say in 2019, it's probably more so for PlayStation, because I think Xbox it was at the 11th hour when they released their dev kits. But anything that comes out prior to 2024 might have a question mark, unless it was only like a 3-year development cycle or something along those lines type of deal. But anything that needed a 5-year deal, 2024 is when you'll probably see the true next gen only builds and things like that. But we'll see how it goes in a couple of years.
Okay, so we were gonna make sure we throw this over to you, Pong. But before we do that, shout out to everybody in chat. Ghost Fixter, Zinc still hanging out, man. No hot takes quite yet, so you're disappointing Pong over here. We need something fresh off the grill. We need something smoking hot to get this thing popping and get that battery in Pong's back.
I almost purposely took Sony in your poll just to get other Zinc going. I almost was.
He's baiting you now. Jesus, you're baiting him. You've turned into the troll. You realize that he's won, right? Zinc is won. He's turned you into the troll.
Out his hot take, I can't sleep well on Saturday night, so I was going to almost guarantee myself one by going that route. But I did.
Shout out to Zing, man. Always hanging out here, brother. We definitely appreciate you, man. He's super consistent, always giving takes in the chat. Hot, cold, doesn't matter, or everything in between. So shout out to you as well, Zing. Pong, so you, brother, sir. Where are we at as far as this? I don't know if this situation has like sped that process up and I don't even know if this even has anything to do with that at all, right? But ultimately, where are you at on the topic? Because it's still something that people bring up, something we talk about with the pricing of games and the whole $70 thing and everything being next gen only and how that all kind of falls.
Yeah, I mean it's an unfortunate situation, but it has to happen at some point, right? And I think that it's anybody who buys a console, I don't think nowadays expects it to last 10 years.
No, absolutely not.
And I mean, this generation might, just because of the chip shortages and because of the way the systems are set up. It's possible this one, I've said that from the get-go, 8 to 10 years is easy on this generation with the way things are going. But I think that everybody at some point, from the first party, right? The first party has to eventually cut the cord. And I think that they've actually, because of the chip shortage, extended it. Sony probably extended it even longer than what Xbox is going to do. Xbox does have the cloud to fall back on. It's unfortunate that not everybody's going to have the same experience, because, we don't have the best internet across America, and parts of the other world don't have the best internet. They've got even worse internet than us. So not everybody's going to be able to use that as a crutch in the meantime, but you still have to cut the first party stuff off and say, look, we're focused on current gen. This is where we're at, because we have to showcase why we had our consumers spend, $400 or $500 for the big ones, or $300 for the Series S. We got to showcase why we are so excited about this hardware, and you can't do that from a developer standpoint for the limitations that Fuzzy brought up. There are certain scalable things, but we all know that is extra. At the end of the day, even if the game is fully scalable, you're still taking away resources from that team that could be focused on the current gen only. So I think that that's important. Plus, for the people who still can't get a next gen console, I've been in that boat before, right? So I understand how that feels at points to not be playing the best of the best at that moment, but that's part of the gig. But for those people that aren't, there's still going to be third parties. There's still going to be indies still making games cross-gen, and maybe even just making games straight up for the older systems because it's cheap, it's easy. That's what they've been working on anyways. They don't have the time, resources to switch over to the current consoles. So you're still going to be getting content, right? The fact that Microsoft has now added the ability to cloud stream those games to your old consoles, the new hardware games to your old consoles, man, that's just a bonus that we've never had before in the past, right?
Yeah.
So that's huge. And as we go forward through the years, that's just going to get stronger and stronger because Microsoft, for their part, is doing everything possible. Again, they're investing more money than any other company into their gaming division right now. And because of that, they are making sure the cloud experience that you do have is the best available. And I can guarantee you they are working overtime to try to get it down even further for those areas that don't have a great connection, to try to see if they can give you the most minimal connection needed to make sure that you can still have an experience through the cloud that's acceptable. And so I think just knowing that is a great, and it's just a fantastic thing to know that the console of your choice, the console maker of your choice is still supporting you in some way, even if you don't have that current console, whether you can't find one or you can't afford one. They are still trying their best, their hardest to give you access to current gen titles, which has never been done in the history of gaming, right? So I think that's a huge deal. And like everybody already pointed out, backwards compatibility, all that kind of stuff comes into play with this stuff. But I think that, yes, at some point it's time. I think it's fair. Right now, even though the chip shortage is out there, I mean, the consoles are at pace or ahead of pace from last gen as well, even though there are more gamers nowadays interested in picking up a current gen console. Look, they're kind of in a good spot right now, despite the chip shortage. They'd be in a ridiculously good spot if the chip shortage wasn't here. So I think it is fair. It's time. You got to do it at some point. People out there as consumers, especially people who go buy consoles nowadays, video games are now big enough and mainstream enough. People don't pick up that console and not know at some point that you're not going to be able to play the latest and greatest games, that they're not going to be cross-gen for you anymore. And you have to kind of expect that. So anything outside of that, I think is kind of a little bit of entitlement on the consumer side of things, thinking that they should just continue to have games made for them because they don't have a current gen console. Nah, man, that's not how it works. This is a business. Things got to move forward. So, again, I've been there. It sucks, but it is what it is. You understand it as a gamer that's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, once again, it's a great argument on both sides, and that argument is going to continue until that cord is officially cut, and it will happen. It always does. And once again, I said this pregame. Let's not act like we haven't been here before, people, because we have. So at the end of the day, these things are going to happen, and the transition, whether it be uncomfortable, is going to happen. So be prepared for that at some point. So either way, let's go ahead and start taking some questions from chat. So shout out to everybody in chat. Obviously, shout out to Crazy Louie Gaming popping up. He's stalking you, Silent Cypher, showing some support, pulling up to the good old chat.
Yeah, I saw him lurking right on in here, calling for that shout out. I was wondering if he paid you $20 for that, but
we're not gonna talk about the Cash App on air, man.
my bad.
Oh yeah,
sorry. He did not pay you a set amount of money. I got you.
Exactly. So yeah, that didn't happen. By the way, we're gonna edit it out anyway. But no. But shout out to chat. We're gonna take some questions. I did see some questions a little earlier in the chat. So once again, chat, let us know. This is the part of the show that you guys take over. You guys throw all the questions that we didn't get to about the topics that we've already covered. Other things that's going on in gaming. So I know there was a few early.
I know Zinc had one in reference to like a Sony's showcase.
Sony show. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Wait, let me go back to it. All right. Does the panel think that Sony will have a show this June comparable to the Xbox show June 12th? Like my take on it is I think they're going to wait. I really do think that they're going to kind of go like late July, early August, because I think that's what they even did last year when they started showing some more of their games. Like I think the Wolverine showing was like late July, early August, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
really,
So,
really late. Yeah, it was late July, I think it was, maybe.
yeah. So I think it will be late. I From a PlayStation fan standpoint, of course they're going to think it's comparable to the Xbox One. They could show two games that have no interest on anybody's forecast, and I honestly believe they will say it's comparable. But that's not trying to be a fanboy, but you know how some are on Twitter. They're always going to claim that it's on par or comparable or it's a 10 out of 10 type of thing. But I honestly I God of War, that's the question mark. It's probably going to be delayed. I mean, if they want to do that old Sony, boot to your neck type of energy, they would have already made mention of an 11/11/22 type of thing, or that might be coming this week type of deal. They had to get the materials together to make that happen type of deal.
It's the ultimate chess move.
Yeah.
And if they, like I said, if they know that it's coming, this would be the week to do it, right?
Oh, yeah.
It really would.
But outside of that, I'm under the impression there's definitely going to be a Ghost of Tsushima 2. It's probably not going to be called that, obviously, but there's definitely that. There's the Jade Raymond, like Haven Studio
A
game.
lot of
that they're gonna
third-party stuff, multiplayer.
Yeah, they're also going to probably announce a Death
Factions?
Stranding 2. I have a feeling that's in the works, or it's been in the works. I know we're possibly getting the cloud game on Xbox side, but they're probably going to do a Death Stranding 2, even if it didn't do the numbers that would normally be dictated for a sequel.
Did you see that question Kojima posed or something like that? Did you see that?
He said
that
it's
tweet?
not. Yes, I did. I did. See
Yeah,
that
but
tweet.
to my understanding, it's not about gaming, it's something else. But people are taking it to the it's about gaming.
Pong is over there.
Right.
Pong is convinced. He's 100% convinced it has nothing to do with gaming at all.
He's been talking a bunch about how he wanted to get into movies and stuff like that too.
That is
Anyways,
true.
so
That is true.
it wouldn't surprise me if it's absolutely not related.
Yeah,
the Silent Hill stuff is real, by the way. For people who did not know, there was a leak earlier this week from a well, he's been around for a long time. I've actually known of him for probably 6, 7, 8 years. I forget, he changed his name again, but he goes by Gollum. Anyways, he came out and leaked out photos of screenshots from Silent Hill. Konami claimed him, which basically confirms that they're real. So Silent Hill is definitely being made. They looked, again, as not a big Silent Hill fan, as somebody who dabbled in the originals, but again, I'm not a horror guy. They were a little bit more psychological, so I did play them. They look fantastic. They look like there is something to them, and they look like current gen stuff. So pretty impressive stuff out there. But Silent Hill, if that is something that they cut the check for, would also be something they are going to be revealing here soon. For sure.
See, I'm wondering if it's PlayStation or if it's Xbox for Silent Hill, because remember all the dots were pointing to that smaller studio that did.
Yeah, you're talking about whatchamacallit. God, I can't think of their name right now.
Oh man, I can't remember the name of the one game, but it was like the split screen thing, and
why can't I do this? Why did you do this to me, Fuzzy?
The witch, the Blair Witch game.
Yes. Oh God.
Bloober.
Thank you. God.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
But I
honestly old brains on here, man.
I know, right?
I think they're the ones that are probably making that Silent Hill game. I don't think it's Kojima. I really think he's just going to do a Death Stranding 2 for
supposedly 2 Silent Hill.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's 2 that were ramped up.
Oh, wow.
Projects, yes, correct.
Yeah,
one was Bloober,
and
there was another one. Yeah. Somebody also posted a supposed screenshot from that again today of one of the character models, and then they also posted the tweet or the picture of Kojima and a girl that he was photographed with at his studios for motion capture that looks extremely a lot like the character. So take it with a grain of salt, but that was out there today as well. So
interesting.
Yeah.
That'll definitely be interesting. So No, that's a good. So anybody else want to jump in? I guess I'll jump in on that question about it being, will Sony have a comparable? I hope so. I definitely want Sony to do the best that they possibly can as a gamer. I want to see everything that they have. I think there's definitely going to be a lot of third party. Expect to see a lot of third party multiplayer stuff. We can't forget about Final Fantasy as well. I do think they'll highlight that as well. Let's see what else they got in the works. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like you said, Jade Raymond, that game obviously, God of War is going to be very interesting to see if that does make this year. Do we get a release date at that point in time? Do we get a state of play like event for God of War? Maybe not at their showcase. Maybe we get both. So there's some codes on iron. Do I think it'll be comparable? Like I said, I hope so. Because I mean, Xbox does, like I said, there's a lot of meat on the bone. Like everything we got last year, like there's a lot of stuff.
Thank you, Other Zinc. It's a give me every time that Kojima comes up. He gave me my
Awesome.
So I'm good. I'm good every time. It doesn't
Awesome.
matter. Keely or Kojima, I got it. It's
Awesome.
in the bag. So
It's automatic
brought up
every
Silent
time.
Hill. Yep.
Automatic every time. Exactly.
Good.
So shout out
Thank
to the
you,
chat,
Elizabeth.
everybody watching live. Appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already. Appreciate you guys' support. So anybody else want to dive in on that?
Yeah.
No. Oh yeah, go ahead, Cypher.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I think, again, going back to the topics we were talking about previously, I think especially now that Microsoft has come out and been like, okay, Redfall, Starfield, those are getting delayed. I bet that changes the calculus for what Sony is going to do. I do think that originally maybe Sony would have done one like what Fuzzy said, maybe in August or something. But I think because of what we know now, I could see Sony being more reactive, jumping in and maybe, pushing harder in the fact that, like, okay, yes, I think God of War is going to end up being March 2023. Personally, I think if Sony had that one ready, we would have heard a lot more about it by now. But that being said, I would imagine they're going to come out guns a-blazing and try and promote whatever they do have, even if it's going to be a little ways out, just because, Microsoft made a misstep just now, so Sony can benefit from it.
No, absolutely. I mean, I absolutely expect them to take advantage of the situation. How they utilize this? Are they going to go full-blown old Sony?
Yes.
What they used to do, or are they going to take a more calculated approach and just kind of hold things off and stay the course? Because
I think they're due for hopes and dreams. Like I said, PTK. I think they're due for one of those. They haven't done one since that E3. They haven't had to, but this generation is now different. Okay, This generation is now new. They did it once last generation and it worked. They will go back to that card again because this generation, they need to, because it's not the same generation. It's not the same Xbox. This is a brand new era. They've had their own missteps. They need to sell hopes and dreams again. And they've got a lot in the works, again, just from what we do know is out there and on top of the stuff that we, again, have been hearing behind the scenes they have not shown yet. And I think that hopes and dreams is coming because they're going to ignite their fan base again. I think they've been holding off due to the supply constraints. They don't need to right now because they're selling out constantly. But I think that now that this is kind of opened up, I think everybody's kind of correct here. That's why I said about about your poll that I didn't think it was going to happen summer. I think closer to fall or maybe beginning of winter leading into 2023, they're going to do one of those hopes and dreams to get everybody fired up as they probably are starting to expect. I know we've heard the chip shortage, continuing through 2024 from Intel or whatever the case may be. I don't think so. I think it's already starting to loose up a little bit. Obviously, it depends on a lot of places around the world, but I think that it's starting to loosen up a little bit. I think we've seen that. So I think 2023, they plan to be a big year. I've said that from the get-go. Next year, holiday, man, it's all out war. It's going to be crazy. And I think that that's what Sony's going to prepare for. And they're going to get their troops up in arms and get ready to be fired up for what's coming down the road. So I think it's due.
Yeah, next year is going to be packed. Next year is going to
Yeah.
be crazy. It just got even crazier,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes. Correct.
you know, as of this earlier this week. So let's go and get some more of these questions because we got a few in chat. Shout out to everybody watching live, man. You guys are always here hanging out with us. I hope you guys enjoying the talk. You know, we do this all for you guys. So once again, drop those questions in chat. You know, anything you guys that we didn't get to, questions you have, let us know in chat so we can go ahead and get to it. So shout out to Ray Oid. Sorry if I screwed that up. I do apologize. But his question was, do you think Bethesda has 2 games ready to replace Redfall and Starfield, hence why it's called Xbox and Bethesda show? So that is, I mean, that's a great proposition. We talked about how are they going to pivot from this, right? Like what's going to happen next. So anybody want to, this is free for all. So
yeah, I think they had more than 2 already. So to answer your question, yes, I think we were going to see more from Bethesda than just Redfall and Starfield. So I think, yes, that's what they were doing out there once they made that decision. I think they were reworking things, but we've already heard they've got some stuff in the works. Id has to have been working on something all this time. The smoke about, Wolfenstein 3 has been out there. That's still a possibility and it would make sense, right? Quake, maybe they don't hold Quake now until QuakeCon. Maybe Quake shows up at the showcase as an early surprise as well, just to kind of cover up. But I Indiana Jones, they could certainly show a better trailer of Indiana Jones at this point, maybe. But there's rumors that they have a Marvel game. There's rumors that they have a Star Wars game. If those are true, I think those were already in the showcase as big surprise reveals, right? They're not going to be anything spectacular. It's going to be a title. But at the same time, I think those were already big parts of the show. So yes, to answer your question, I think they do have it. And they might have thrown one extra one that they were kind of holding for later back into the showcase now to kind of, give that Xbox Bethesda showcase feel back again on the Bethesda side of things. For sure.
Yeah, I do think there was a lot on the table that they can kind of work with. Like you said, there was some titles there, some things, Indiana Jones being one of them. You did mention, we've heard a bunch about like a Mandalorian MMO or some type of Mandalorian game a bunch of times. There was some rumors about a Marvel, like you said, a Marvel game. You got, there's a lot. There's a lot, that they can pivot.
They definitely need to show Deathloop as far as really coming to the platform. Although there's the possibility of a 2-year, but I'm hoping that Sony didn't.
I've been saying that too. Fuzzy, because that was right around the time that Sony started signing 2-year deals, right? So that would suck. But yeah, if Deathloop is available, you're absolutely correct. They will showcase that as
well. Yeah, that's another one too. So
I think like what Pong was saying, what Fuzzy were saying, right, is like a lot of those ones that we kind of had suspicions about, Indiana Jones, the possibility of like that Marvel game or some of that stuff, or the Star Wars game, right? But I think we're also probably going to see at least a teaser for Prey 2 and also see Evil Dead Within 3.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'll be nice.
Because we're getting to those times.
Yeah. Good call on Tango, by the way, because Tango's now wrapped up. I mean, Tokyo Ghostwire's done. It's out. We'll get it for Xbox next year. But you're right, Siphon. I didn't even think about that.
For sure.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. And again, I'll fall back on my surprise when we were doing our showcase guesses before last week is that I think the remake studio or the secondary team that's they're being created just to remake old Bethesda titles. I think that's real. And I think that announcement could come at the showcase for a remake of Morrowind or Fallout 3, which would be gigantic as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's a lot. So this is we talked about this and we talked about this last year, them being able to insulate themselves from things like this. It's not as this happened 3-4 years ago. This would be a disaster. Like this
would have forced the games out.
Yeah,
they would have forced the games out like they used to. Yep.
The fact that they've built up this amount of studios, they've acquired, the talent, they've acquired the licenses, IPs, they've acquired all these titles and they're working on so many games that it does help this type of issue. So it does soften the blow, if you will. So I do think there's a lot to work with there. So anybody else want to dive in on that or
no, we good? I just think definitely that I like Cypher's idea on Prey 2 because I would really love to see that. And then the Wolfenstein 3, kind of like what Pong was saying, they've had that window of time that they needed, because they didn't do the Bloodlines thing, or not the Bloodlines thing, but the one with the two sisters. Their
Youngblood.
last one was the part 2 with the DLCs and stuff like that.
Youngblood.
So
Yeah. Okay. So
I-
we want to go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I worry about them doing what the Wolfenstein. I don't know if we're gonna see that soon, because what they're wrapped up in the Machine Games is Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I think they got 2 teams though, brother.
You
I
think
really
they
do.
split off?
Yes, I do. I really do think they started working on Wolfenstein earlier, and then they got the Indiana Jones deal. And I think that they started small, and as they started wrapping up Wolfenstein, then they're moving people over to Indiana Jones. I really, again, it's all guess. I know
Sure.
nothing, right? But I'm just saying that's my gut feeling is that what happened in there.
I would
See.
love it. I would love it, right? Because, like the idea of kicking Wolfenstein like way out there and us having to wait to fight Mecha Hitler seems like a real bummer. So hopefully they do have a second team.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
No, but man, shout out to chat. We got another question here. Shout out to Fifth Horseman, man, always hanging out in chat. So he said, question for the panel: do you think there will still be Series S sitting on shelves if MW2 and Warzone 2 are next gen only this holiday? So anybody want to jump in on that?
It's a good question. Yeah, that will still be sitting on the shelves, because I think they're going to move over production just like they did last year to the Series S. Even if they're having still a hard time getting the series, the chips or whatever the case may be, I think they'll focus on the Series S again. So yeah, I think we definitely could still see them on the shelves, but it's going to be a master stroke if at all possible. But again, we do believe that Sony has the marketing rights for MW2. This might be the last one that they have. But it's still going to be huge for them, especially if they can announce the deal's done, right? So if they can get that deal done before the end of the year, well, then that word of mouth is going to go out anyways. And Call of Duty, even if Sony has the marketing for MW2, will already be associated with Xbox, because Xbox is going to be plastering it everywhere that they now own the franchise. So it would be huge. It would be gigantic.
Okay. Anybody else want to dive in on that?
I think they won't be sitting on shelves for long. They'll be on shelves, and then they'll be Black Friday deals.
I'm not saying they're gonna be sitting around collecting dust.
No. No, they'll have like a lifespan on shelf of like 28 hours or something. Like they might be there for like a whole day, and then at most it's like, $249.99, or I don't think they're going to drop much below that, but I think $249, wrap in 3 months of Game Pass, those things will be flying.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some deals. I don't know how low they get either. I don't think they go super low. Maybe they knock, I don't know, $20-$30 off, somewhere around there. But
Yeah.
I think $249 for Black Friday, but I would say generally $279, and they'll do a pack in.
Yeah.
Digital code, obviously, since it doesn't have a disk drive yet.
Yeah, that'll be a cool idea. Okay. All right, so chat, let us know. Once again, throw us some questions here. We got about 20 minutes or so left, before we wrap this thing up. So let us know what you guys think, chat, about the show. Hit the like button if you have not already. And shout out to everybody watching live. Appreciate you guys' support. Subscribe if you have not. If you're new here, appreciate you hanging out with us. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. So unless we have some other things we want to talk about. Oh, I do want to get into something else too. I do want to show some love to the Division 2 this week. We've all been playing it. So I do want to get some general impressions on some of the new stuff in season 9. Chat, I love the Division 2. Big, I played the game. I know, Paul, you said what 600 hours you have earlier.
Yes.
I haven't even looked. I'm probably somewhere in that range as well. If I had to guess, I have to be. So, but yeah, so I just want to get everybody's general impressions. Chat, you guys been playing it. What you guys been enjoying with the season. So, anybody just want to dive in on,
I'm still
heard an Xbox
figuring...
just turn on. Are you checking PTK?
Yeah. No, I already know. I'm sitting at like 95 days.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah,
See, like
Jesus.
I said, I was 1/3. I was
Yeah.
almost correct. I had one third of the life that Fuzzy's putting.
I have to
Yeah.
let me pull up my app. Let me see.
No,
I'm
but,
curious myself.
I'm still figuring out like it's not optimization. It's almost like how you make the proficiency on the weapons and the gear stronger. I'm trying to see how I can wrap that into a benefit, because I have a pretty strong poison bill as far as doing damage, but it's real squishy, and I'm hoping I can kind of switch some things around and put some armor on it, or get some pieces that at least have a max stat, and then just put armor instead of the what do you call them, skill skill tier on it that comes naturally on one of the gear set pieces. But overall, I mean, it's great that they finally added some more content. Haven't tried the new, was it Countdown, the nuclear power plant thing yet, but I know my face tank build holds up better than it did before when it comes to being in a group of 2 or more. Like before scaling, it was like I was throwing peas at enemies at that point, like frozen peas for bullets. But now at least I can do damage. I just can't face tank technically like I could when I'm like solo. I can just run up to them, stand in front of the door, and just keep shooting at them and watch them fall. Now it's like, all right, I can be by the door. I just got to stay in cover and be able to still get the same damage numbers and things like that with that build. But I'm enjoying it so far.
Awesome. I've been enjoying it too. And I said, if this game, if Division 2 had a content cadence as Destiny, I'd probably play it every day. If the content was as frequent. In Destiny, some people would argue it's not very frequent, but it actually is if you look at a majority of looter shooters. But Silent, do you play Division 2?
So I did a long time ago. I'm gonna catch some flack for it, but it unfortunately kind of caught the wayside for me for a while now. It's kind of like Destiny for me in the fact that I just didn't, at the time the game came out, I didn't have a bunch of time to sink into it. I need to get back to it though, because everything that I played of it, I really enjoyed. It's one of those things of like I had smaller games I could play at the time, and it just got set to the wayside at that point. But maybe you guys can convince me to jump in sometime, we could play, or maybe the XBI guys or something want to play some. I'd be up for going back into it.
Awesome.
Nice,
We're
nice.
definitely, hey, anytime, bro. Hit us up, man. Me and Fuzz play. We were there during the drought.
Yeah.
So no, we're definitely. So Pong, I know you've been playing a little bit as well, correct?
Yeah, I have. I jumped back in last night for the first time on season 9, but obviously, played plenty of it before. Look, this is I'll take it from this aspect here. The game's great. Steel and I did a whole thing this morning. Again, we always advertise the games we're playing. Steel had all the gameplay recorded, so we were showing in the background a living split screen. But look, here's the deal. And we all talked about this while we were in chat, playing the game and stuff. Mav and Steel and Jasper and Psychonauts. It's really crazy to me that this is actually the game that Ubisoft has been hunting for this entire time. They had it in front of them the entire time.
That's ironic,
legit,
isn't it?
legit. They did. They gave up on it because of the we all know the problems Division 2 went through. Fuzzy can document them the same way he can document GT7. As far as what they did to the community, how they fixed as in quote unquote fix the game, all the missteps that they had, and then the higher ups just totally gave up on it and forgot about it and moved on and started looking for the next hidden gold cache where they could just print money. This game has everything they're trying to find in all of these other failed investments. It's all right here, right now. Look, we talked about this. They could have simply there's so many different ways they could have gone with this, but they could have simply made this game free to play. After it's all said and done, made this game free to play. When they got the second wind, right after they did the update and they came out with the the New York City update, right, and everybody jumped back in. They could have instantly announced, "Hey, guess what? This is all going free to play. We're going to give you the NYC for free. Season pass is still going to cost you, but whatever. We're going to do the monetization, obviously. But here's the deal: we're going to give you a roadmap. We're working on a brand new expansion called Heartland." And it's going to just add to your map. You're going to go into a whole new location. A new terrorist group has been found in the Midwest. You're going to have to helicopter in. We need to find these people. And they could have just simply added it as a whole new extension to the map. They could have done all that. They could have gone back, reworked all the dark zones, more like the first one, because that's what everybody's been asking for. They could have started their work, put all the teams on it that they needed to, and they would have had the game that they've been looking for this entire time that could have been competing with Destiny as a third-person shooter. I'm not talking about as a first-person shooter. We all know what Destiny is. But at the end of the day, this is the one they could have monetized. People would have jumped back into it if they made all the right corrections, which, again, all they had to do was listen to community. They would have seen the roadmap right in front of them. Add Heartland as expansion. Bro, you could have brought this game back to life in a way that you never saw originally, and this would have been the game. And the other big deal is the Division 2 is actually a credit to the Tom Clancy name, unlike everything else they have done to bastardize the Tom Clancy name. The Division actually lives up to Tom Clancy. The TV series on Amazon is actually pretty good if you go watch it. They had the potential right here in this IP to be everything that they are still hunting for in Skull and Bones and Assassin's Creed Infinite or whatever the hell they're going to call that, right? Look, it's right here. Ubisoft, it's right here in front of your faces. You could have done it. So now, at this point, I'm just saying all we can do is hope for the best for Heartland. Maybe Heartland takes what they learned from Division 2 and they actually make Heartland good. Again, is it a hope and a prayer? It sure is. But man, this right here is such a great game. Every time we jump back into it, we all say the same thing. This is a freaking fantastic game. Why did Ubisoft not support it the way they should have? Why did they give up? Because this game could have been something special.
Yeah. And me and Fuzz have argued this to the fucking hills. We've argued this to the hills that this game has so much potential, and people have actually stuck around through the tough times.
Yes.
There's actually a real community. If you go on places like Reddit, just on Twitter, there's a real strong community. People still make build videos, and there's still a big community for this game. So, and like you said, everything they've been looking for is right there in front of them already. Content has always been the key to these type of games. Destiny went through it. As long as you're providing quality content, the people will play these games. They'll continue to support them.
Customization's there. The customization's there. It's the third person. You can actually see your customizations. People want to buy the outfits and the gun skins because you get to see it all on your screen. It's everything they've ever wanted. It's crazy.
Even with the improvements, because the engine was an issue. That Snowdrop engine, that engine with the improvements, the upgrades, it's beautiful. It runs beautiful. It's amazing, and once again, I didn't even consider adding that on as adding Heartland on as just an add-on to Division 2. I never even thought of it that way.
With Division 2.5, it could have been a huge expansion. They could have just rolled. Oh man, it would have been so good.
That's an awesome idea, and you know what? Go to Reddit and post that because honestly, I would love to see that. I mean, I totally agree with you on this. This is what, all that stuff that they've been trying to, chase trends and stuff. They could have just focused on this and it would have aligned with a lot of the stuff that they're looking to do.
Right.
I mean, don't use the word NFT. Just keep on selling the cosmetic packs. Keep on selling, the season passes. Keep on doing that stuff. Don't ever say NFT. Just don't even don't let it cross your lips. But just sell the content the way they've been doing. Just keep on adding it. It's like, heck, if they really needed the extra money, go to the companies out there. Like they already have the 511 gear, which is actually real gear that's out there. There's other brands out there. I'm pretty sure they'll be like, you know what? Oh, you want to put the brand in the game? Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll contribute to that because it's advertising for us, and we could spend a couple million as far as the advertising to put it in this game. So yeah, it everything is there, like you said. I don't know. I mean, it kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth for when Avatar comes out. Like I want to see what the game is going to be like. I want to see how detailed and what the game loop is going to be like, but this is still my priority, or what I feel they should make their priority. And it would be awesome to use this engine for Star Wars, but it's like, that's a few years out still. You have this right here. This is like your golden goose, your egg, your money tree, whatever you want to call it. It's been there all along, because they definitely ruined the formula for like Ghost Recon. Like Wildlands, I loved. Breakpoint.
It's better, but it's not Ghost Recon.
They improved the movement, I think, but the map just didn't seem as. I mean, it was somewhat diverse as far as the environments, but I didn't like the layout in Breakpoint like I did Wildlands. Like, you wanted to take the helicopter to the mountains. You wanted to take the helicopter over to the desert, or grab an SUV and drive around the mountain, roads and things like that. For Breakpoint, it's like, yeah, I could use the vehicle or I could fast travel, but it's like I spent more time fast traveling because I didn't really care for the surroundings as much. It just seemed kind of to blend all into one. I don't know.
Man, I wish they'd bring us back to Warfighter.
Oh,
Those 360 games, you remember playing those?
The
That
last Warfighter,
was so good.
Steele said it this morning. They need to do that. Like, that's like so necessary, but they won't.
No, no, they won't.
So shout out to the Division 2. Shout out to because once again, I know Silent Cypher, I saw in the chat you and Bacon was like, man, we're talking you into downloading this game again. Please do. Where we played a part, we played in a full party last night. Me and Fuzz play all the time anyway. We dip in and dip out for various reasons. We're not gonna get into that, Fuzz. Hacker.
Yeah, they banned me for a bit, but that was the funniest thing. Like, the whole deal was they had these broken knee pads where if you grenaded yourself, you were invincible in the dark zone, and people were griefing the heck out of people, and they didn't do anything. They didn't ban those people. Nothing, and it was like known for months. And then they barely
sounds like
fixed
you
it.
need bare knee pads.
And then they had this glitch where it's like, all right, go from your specialization to the turret at like one of the control points, and you transfer like the destruction or the DPS from the turret to your weapon. I'm like, let's see if this works. And a lot of people are like, oh, it doesn't work. I'm like, let me see if it works. And I had already leveled up most of my characters, so it's like I'm 2 weeks into the NY or the New York DLC and stuff. Go ahead and try. It's like, oh yeah, I can one shot a boss on heroic. Okay, let's just play around with it. Now, I already had decent builds to begin with, but this was like, oh, I can farm stuff, and it was more about me doing drops for Blam or other people. And I know Blam was like, I'm not touching that. I ain't doing it. But I was like, yeah, no, here's a weapon. Here's some other things and stuff. And sure enough, they started banning people, and I happened to be one. And it's like they banned me for a week. I'm like, okay. So I at least had like a good amount of stuff, and all of my characters leveled up in New York. And then I go back and I'm like, I'm back to the other one only being halfway through my first character through New York. I was like, this ain't it. This ain't it. I uninstalled the game. I don't think I touched it for 6 months.
Yeah, he didn't. I would try and get him. Fuzz would not. He was like, I'm not even touching that fucking game. He would not. I would try and get him on and play. He would not do it. We had to play other shit. So, but no, once again, just give it a try, jump back in. It's really, really good. It's still a lot to do, obviously,
Sure.
Just wish the content was there. More content. This game, like I said, I'd play it every day. I'd play it just as much as I play Destiny 2. I think it has a phenomenal world, memorable characters. I like the loot system, unique weapons, things like that. It has everything you want in that kind of game. But
beautiful. It runs so smooth.
Smooth. Oh God, Fuzz. I mean, Pong. I can't talk about that enough.
I know.
Yeah.
It was funny. One of Steele's buddies jumped in because he saw us in chat, and one of Steele's old buddies jumped into our chat, and we were all in there, and he's like, "What are all of you doing on Division 2?" And we're like, "No, man, you got to get it. You got to get in. You got to check." And we were like, "When's the last time you played it?" And he's like, "I don't know, like Xbox One." And we're like, "No, you got to." And we're like telling him because he's got a series console now, and he's like, "What? And we're like, yes, jump in. And he started watching videos. He's like, oh my God. He went and got his disc and tried to pop it in there, and it didn't work. He actually bought it for $15 and started downloading it while he was sitting in chat with us. Cause he's like, oh man, I got to get back into Division. That's the kind of draw this game has. If Ubisoft just would have played their cards the right way, and it looked like for a minute when they got that bounce back, they were going to do that. And then they gave up again. It's just so infuriating to know that they've got this right in front of them.
It's rough because it's like you were saying earlier, right? Like they have all that stuff. They have that formula right there. And there's so many times with a lot of their games where they're just like, they're right there. They're right to having like a smash hit that they could support, and it'd be great. But unfortunately, like they give up on it too quick, or they get a harebrained scheme. They throw something in that like angers everyone, and it's just like they let that game rot basically, which is it's frustrating to see. I'm happy that that didn't happen with this one. And to their defense, to an extent, right? Like you look at For Honor, and that game was rough when it started out. They've put a lot of support into it, and it still has a pretty decent user base from what I understand.
Rainbow Six, right?
I was gonna say Siege, yeah.
Yeah, Siege.
Siege is a perfect example. Yeah.
Right. They do it. And I give Ubisoft all the credit in the world. Again, they're one of the few companies who started updating all their older games with patches for the Series console and for PS5, right? And that's what brought it back to life. But then again, why this one out of all of them that they give up on it again when it's showing signs? It's like, oh no, Ubisoft, not this.
It almost makes you think that maybe they're gearing up for a Division 3, and they're just like, okay, we're just going to scrap this and we're going to start fresh.
I wish, but it's massive. The main team that's always done these, they know how good that team is, and they've moved them onto the Avatar, and then the next project, because they landed that Disney deal, was Star Wars. So once they, it was like they would have continued probably supporting this and up until like a Division 3, and then they got the Star Wars license, and it was like Division 3. No, scrap that. Star Wars is the
more important things.
They already got the bag. We got the cash. It's in the bank already.
Money.
What team? I forget what team is working on Heartland.
I think it was part of, what is it, Red Storm, I believe.
I was going to say Red Storm.
Okay.
The ones that used to do a lot of the PvP or the Dark Zone stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing that. And then I can't remember who made the decision to not take the specialization stuff, or like how we have our gadgets. Yeah, I'm under the impression Heartland doesn't do gadgets at all. Like it's crafting like the way Survival was, but no gadgets. And it's like, come on, that's not Vision. Then it's I don't know.
Say that.
It hopefully this bounce that they get from the season 9 shows enough energy, because you could see Yannick. He's the one that goes on like their state of the game streams and stuff like that, and he even whispered, he's like, if you get everybody to play on the free weekend, they might give us a bigger team or a bigger budget, type of stuff. So it's like he really wants this to keep on going, not just for his job, but I think he's also a fan of the game himself. So it's like,
there's got to be somebody there that knows what they have.
From the conversations that we've had with people who have actually worked there behind the scenes, that we know, the devs aren't listened to at all. Like the devs all have the right ideas there, and they know what the gamers want, but unfortunately a lot of those get shot down instantaneously and never get moved up the chain. So there's a lot of frustrated devs at Ubisoft.
They get thrown in the good old
circular
suggestion box.
Yeah. No. With the other game, that goddamn Splinter Cell, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They get thrown in the Splinter Cell box.
Man,
don't
even get me started on Splinter Cell.
In a mobile game.
Too much, but
the amount of times they brought Sam Fisher back in a way that I didn't want.
He's back this time.
Have him as a skin in a dance party thing or whatever.
I hope he's back this time. I have reservations.
He's back. We're gonna hold the line on this, and everybody out there has to go buy it when it does drop. So they have to be forced to continue.
Pong, I admire your positivity on this one, and I want to have that positivity too. I really do.
All right. Well, go read the internal dev Q&A they did with the team that's working on it, and it's like the most well-written fan, like it's as if the fans wrote the answers to the devs' questions, like our wildest dreams. If that team follows through on their Q&A and what they said they're going to do with that Splinter Cell remake, this is going to be the Splinter Cell we all hoped and loved back in the day, but just in current gen form. And it's going to be miraculous. It's just going to mean that we all have to go buy it, purchase it absolutely day one, so that they are forced to make a number 2 flat out.
That's tough to do, man. That's tough to do.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to show us some shit. I mean, they're gonna have to,
Yep.
I mean,
I understand. I agree. Like I said, just go read that Q&A. It's crazy, man. How they answered every question perfectly. Every single answer was crazy good. So
nice.
Yep.
Nice.
We'll see. All right. So once again, we got a few minutes left. So chat, you can throw us a question or two here, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up here shortly, so we can get on with our weekend. But anything that I missed, Pong? Maybe Fuzz? Anything I missed? Did I?
Oh, one thing I do want to touch on the I guess the patent that was found for like the disc deal, like where you could take your old discs and get them converted to like a digital copy type of thing. It looks like that's back in the works with like some sort of like device attachment. So I guess they'll have some sort of like DVD or Blu-ray thing that you can attach to your Series S. Take any of the games that you can buy physically, the ones that are in like the bargain bin at GameStop, because they don't go to that deep of a sale on the digital stores. You can pick them up at GameStop, put it in this thing, get the digital code, and then it's like you have a digital copy. So that's pretty interesting, especially considering like my sons have their Series S, and there's a lot of Xbox One games where I game share with my one son, but I have to wind up rebuying a lot of the games for my other son.
Yep.
And this would come in handy for a lot of the discs for like the original Dying Light game, Rainbow Six Siege game, because I have like the disc copy and digital copy a couple of times. And yeah, this would be a huge thing for stuff like that, or for anybody that doesn't want to pay the even the $39.99 that they may go down and sale on when GameStop has it for $5.99 or buy 3 get 1 free or something like that type of deal. So hopefully that comes out sooner.
I wonder along that same line, and follow me for a second here, but 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, right?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot purchase that game digitally.
Yeah.
So if you have the disc and you could convert it to a digital, would that actually allow you to play that game as a digital, or would that be an issue still where it would be locked because currently it's only allowed on disc?
No, it would be converted to digital still. And the way it works is kind of like the way before they relisted Forza Horizon.
Yeah.
Basically, you still get that digital copy. You can't buy the digital copy, but it's still in their archive, or the ability to pull it down from the server, as long as it's listed as owned, would still be accessible.
So as long as they still have that version in the server, you're good.
Right.
Okay, I gotcha.
So hopefully that's something that they can enact, because that a lot of people have their, like you said, their 360 discs still.
Mm-hmm.
This would be awesome if they picked up a Series S and weren't able to really, rebuy those games and want to play them again. And, some of them we got backwards compatibility. Some of them we didn't. I know that game jumped up in price big time.
Yes.
When it went to almost like a $50 game, and it was like around $15 or less for the longest time.
Yeah.
But
okay, so I do go ahead.
Oh, no. You're good.
Okay. So I do want to end this on a great question here from Bacon Life. So it's kind of a fun one. We'll actually do top 3, and I kind of got 3 in mind. So I'll start. He said for the panel, top 5 gaming soundtracks. We'll do top 3 because I was thinking about this when I saw.
I got 5. So. I got 5.
Oh, you got 5. Easy.
Yeah,
easy.
I'll give you 5. Yeah.
Okay. We'll go ahead and start then, Paul.
All right. So Mass Effect. Then we've got GTA Vice City. And then we've got Cyberpunk 2077. And then we've got Skyrim. And then we've got Starfield. Because I already know that Starfield's going to be amazing just from the one little snippets that we've gotten out of it.
I think I could do 5.
Okay.
So we got Halo. Any Halo. I mean, it's kind of the same, the main score, but Halo. We got Sonic 2. Probably Streets of Rage, the OG one, the Genesis one. We got Time Zelda. And then the last one, ooh, man. Actually, I would say even Destiny. I would throw Destiny in there for me. I love Destiny's music. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah, no, Destiny's great.
yeah.
I got some weird ones only because I actually a long time ago I used to purchase
GT1, GT2, GT3, GT4.
not quite that.
Okay,
Not quite that, but like, all right. So I did actually purchase the Grand Theft Auto 5 soundtrack, so I put that up there. Saints Row 3 soundtrack, Drive Club soundtrack, Deathloop soundtrack, and probably the last one. It as weird as this is going to sound, I'm going to say Division 1's soundtrack because there was something about the environmental music that they had.
That's a good one, Fuzz.
I think I actually bought. I actually did buy that soundtrack, but it was like some of their mission song stuff, the way it ramped up and things.
Yes,
I really like that. So
you know what it was, Fuzz? It was the damn snow. They need the snow back. The snow made everything about Division 1.
Yeah,
miss the snow.
Yeah, they, you know what? They need to steal an idea from Playground Games and put seasons, not the season pass, but seasons,
actual seasons.
Division 2.
Yes, yeah, good call.
So for my 5, Fuzzy, you stole Saints Row the Third, and I applaud you for that though, because Saints Row the Third soundtrack was great. So without that one though, I would say Stubbs the Zombie, Forza Horizon 3, Command and Conquer, Control, and Alan Wake.
Ooh,
wow, very nice.
Very nice.
Control was
a man of culture. I see, huh?
I loved those. Like, I know that a lot of that was, actually designed and catered directly to those games, but it just has such an awesome sound to it. Like, especially Control and Alan Wake, bringing in Poets of the Fall and having them be like the mock rockers, old gods of Asgard. Like, that whole thing is awesome, and the music's great for the games. Like, it works out so well.
I have an honorable mention. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that to Far Cry Blood Dragon.
Oh yeah.
So
Doom Eternal is another one.
That's another one.
Yes. There's a lot of great.
There's a lot. Yeah, I didn't realize. Now I'm thinking about it. My head's like, damn, that's like 5 or 6
so
more.
many good ones.
Yeah, there's a ton. There's a ton. So I think we're actually gonna wrap it up on that. Chat, man, it's been an amazing show thus far. We appreciate everybody for hanging out with us once again.
Wait, we can answer Other Zink's real quick question here.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah. Other Zink said, since Jim Ryan never does interviews, does the panel think they could identify Jim Ryan if you were one of 2 people in a room? And yes, absolutely, Other Zink, because of all the memes out there, I could pick out Jim Ryan out of a room of 100 people. Just because
it's the guy with the long nose.
Yeah, right.
No, line Ryan. No, I'm just kidding.
As soon as he starts talking and it's just delusions of grandeur and unrealistic expectations, I'd know who it was.
Or talking about cats and dogs.
Yes.
Too much. So shout out to the $5 super chat, Chris Jones. His 5 were Sudoku 2, Sudoku 1, Sudoku 3, Halo 3, then Phantasy Star Universe for him for his top 5.
Yes.
Gaming
Hey, Chris, I was just typing in the chat. I see unit. Look, how did I know what your first 3 would be, brother?
I mean, right? Like in consecutively, right there. So shout out to you, man. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you for supporting us here at the Shop Podcast, man. But that is going to wrap up the show this evening. It was a phenomenal show. It's been a rough week. I love the fact we end the show on a positive note, man. That's what gaming's all about, man. Gotta fucking persevere. Push through the BS. We've dealt with this before. Continue the game. I'm getting off of this shit, and I'm going to play me some video games. So, but anyway, we want to just shout out our guests here, Southern Cypher. Shout out to everybody showing love. Had a few XBI, Sour Blow, Louis in chat showing love and supporting us as well. Thank you, Southern Cypher, for hanging out with us this evening. Once again, your family. When you're on here one time, your family. So, it probably won't be the last time you see him on here, chat. So let everybody know where they can find you, Southern Cypher. And we appreciate you taking your time to hang out with us, man.
Hey guys. Well, yeah, first off, I really appreciate you guys having me on tonight. It was a lot of fun to be able to get to hang out with you guys and actually talk to you in person. I know we see each other all out throughout the different podcasts and different chats and stuff throughout the week. But it's cool to get to hang out with you guys and actually talk video gaming one-on-one. But yeah, as far as where you can find me, I am on XBI on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's the main place you're going to find me. Besides that, you're going to find me YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Xbox Live, all as Silent Cypher. Always playing some games, always up to talk gaming or whatever. And yeah, chat, thank you so much. It was fire chat. Shout out to Louie and to Sourblow. It was really cool to see Mr. Dark in here as well. Even though he's not on the cast anymore, he's still family as well. And yeah, I thank you again. It was a lot of fun this evening.
Awesome.
Yeah, appreciate you here, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Once again, if you guys have not, do yourself a favor, go follow XBI, go follow Silent Cypher. Always going to get some good things from them. Once again, shout out to Sour Blow, Louie as well, hanging out, showing some love in the chat. Go ahead and get to my two compatriots here. Throw this over to you, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man. Just let us go ahead and wrap this up for us, brother.
Sure. It was awesome having Silent Cypher on here. Shout out to you guys, man. It was awesome hearing your takes on things, and shout out to everybody in the chat. It was, good interacting with other Zinc and everybody else in the chat and stuff like that. And man, this is always fun to do. Always glad to be here with Pong and PTK. But man, for anybody that wants to hear my ramblings on gaming, follow me on Twitter, Fuzzy_Belvedere. Watch my racing replays on YouTube, Fuzzy_Belvedere. Or you can catch me on FSP on Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Fun Speculations channel. You can also find me on Breakfast with Boom on Friday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern Time with Mr. Boomstick, Dreadpool, John Wolf, and Web Dave. And then you can find me usually later that night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the Xbox Ultimate family or the Fun Speculation family with Pong, Mav, Caitlin, Psychonauts, Jasper, 3-Bit, and basically anyone else in the Fun and Ashton Lupa and everyone else in the Fun Speculation family. It was an awesome show this past Friday. And then look forward to next Saturday here with PTK and Pong on the Shop Podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
Yeah, appreciate you once again, Mr. Consistency, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. Not the smoothest voice this week, right? but he'll be back to his normal spot next week. But we appreciate you hanging out with us, Fuzz, every week. Thank you, brother. Your family, thank you. And last but not least, Mr. Pong Harvey. Let everybody know where they can find you, brother.
Yeah, buckle up. This was a great show. Awesome to have Silent Cypher here. It is Agent 47 on OnlyFans, correct? Is that what it is?
Oh my goodness!
I just want to make sure people get over
talk
that.
about that on the air.
Okay.
Oh my goodness!
Listen, it was fantastic to have you on, brother. Finally, to do a podcast and a show with you. Again, appreciate your thoughts, man. And again, was not disappointed tonight. Just awesome stuff, man. And of course, PTK and Fuzzy, you guys always bring it every Saturday night. This is just the best place to be. So thank you all for a great show tonight. And chat, you guys are amazing. Other Zinc, special shout out for the hot take as always, brother. My Saturday night is complete, but everybody in chat was amazing tonight. Great to see all the familiar faces showing up and saying hi. Love you all. You know that. Nothing but respect out there for everybody supporting any kind of podcast, not just the Shop Podcast. But again, thank you all for being here. And otherwise, you guys can find me, of course, Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter, if you so choose. Otherwise, I'm not sure if I'm going to be on Xbox Factor Podcast this week quite yet, but tune in anyway, because Double Barrel Gaming is the channel. Mr. Boomstick is the man, as you all know. And Tuesdays, it's all the good things green on Xbox Factor Podcast. That's right, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Be there. Mav when he's available, Boxenberger when he's available, VJ, N64 Josh, and myself. Again, it's going to be very sporadic for me from here on out, but it's still a great place to be. So be there Tuesdays, and then Thursdays, PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM. look, we are building something really cool over there on Thursday nights. It is just a great time. If you like the 2-man format like Steele and I do on Living Split Screen, we'll be talking about here shortly. It's the place on Thursday nights. That's on Fun Speculations channel, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Sometimes we even have guests. Like we had Randall Thor and my brother from another Steel Rain on a couple weeks ago, and that show blew up thanks to Rand dropping, a little tiny nugget that just took a life of its own. But look, we're just having a great time. Mav and I are going to deep dive 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 topics, but who knows what's going to happen this next week. So join us there, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, Thursday nights. Friday, back over on Fun Speculations channel, Xbox Ultimate. Look, like Fuzzy just said, it gets crazy. It gets wild over there. We had 9 people on last night, including Xbox Obi, of course, great member of the community. And then Craig showed up for about the last 40 minutes, which turned it absolutely into just a laugh crying fest. It was ridiculous, but that's what happens over there. So join us on Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. And then you got to turn right around. You got to set your alarms right after you get done with Xbox Ultimate, before you go to bed, before you start playing games or continue playing games. Set those alarms, set those reminders, because Saturday mornings, it's Living Split Screen, all one word with me and my brother from another Steel Rain. Look, we get your Saturday, your weekend started off right, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. BST time. Be there for the live, raw, and uncut, all the fantastic news, 3+ hours. Sometimes, normally now, 4+, but be there anyways. Jump in, jump out, whatever you got to do. We are in Mission 1K, so join us there. That's right, Living Split Screen Saturday mornings, and God willing, life willing, I will be back here next week on the Shop Podcast. You guys all have a fantastic weekend, because this is the golden age of gaming. People, please do not forget it. Get out there, play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to you all this week.
Appreciate you, Pong, man. Every single week, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, guys. And last but not least, your boy PTK Blam across the board, the host here at the Shop Podcast. If you want to keep up with me and everything Shop Podcast related, follow me on Twitter, as well as the other gentlemen, as well as our guest here tonight. So shout out to everybody. It's PTK Blam across the board on Xbox Live as well. If you want to play some video games and or some Division 2, if you need a partner to walk through the game with, hit me up. Play a whole lot of that as well. But once again, as Pong said, Golden Age of Gaming. Enjoy your weekend. Please be safe. We'll see you guys next week. Same place, same time. Peace out, everybody.
Later.
See ya.